So, Marvel and Sony is making a 4v4 tag team fighting game, not with Capcom, but with arcsystemworks. As a Marvel vs. Capcom enjoyer from afar, I don't have the big brain capacity to play these games, but I really enjoy watching high-level competition, and I find it quite exciting that arcsystemworks is developing it, because it doesn't have the legacy baggage from the previous Marvel fighting games made by Capcom. We are going to predict the roster, and not just choosing my own favorite characters from the Marvel universe, because if I did that, to be honest, it would just be X-Men and a few spider people.
Don't forget to subscribe!
We are going to look at the upcoming movies, TV shows, and video games that Marvel is going to release 2025 and 2026, and we'll do the same for Sony releases. We'll try to predict the characters they're trying to push. And we're also going to look at characters that are too popular to ignore. And the developer have also said that they want to use characters that are considered the face of Marvel. So we're going to look at some of those as well. And of course, they are going to have a balance of different fighting game archetypes. And we'll see which character will fit those criteria. And also, they wanted to use a lot of characters that have not previously been in a Marvel fighting game. We are only considering the Capcom-made Marvel fighting games. And we hopefully also want to have some of the iconic Marvel characters from Marvel vs. Capcom to be included to win the Marvel vs. Capcom crowd over. Hope you can find characters that hit many of these points at once. I don't think the roster is going to be as large as everyone hoped it to be. I think a lot of people hope it will be like 40 characters on release, and I just don't really see that happening with game development costs and time that modern games require. I think at the very minimum it's going to be 24, because that's what Dragon Ball FighterZ started with. But I'm a bit optimistic that it's going to be 32 characters, because this is a 4v4 and Dragon Ball FighterZ was only a 3v3. Oh, and we will try to hit the good balance between heroes and villains and males and females. But I think out of 32 characters, if we manage to hit 10 villains and 10 female characters, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, so those are the points that we are trying to look at when choosing characters. This is just a mock-up of the character select screen that I made. I'm a UX UI designer in my day job, so I couldn't resist to make my own version of the character select screen. Obviously, I don't know what it's going to look like. This is just my design for it. Let's jump over to the release schedule. Here I have just listed the movie, TV, and game releases from Marvel and Sony in 2025 and 2026. I don't think all of these releases will be influential in designing the roster, but I definitely think a few important ones will matter. For example, I don't think Captain America Brave New World will matter at all. I think this movie was just a setup for the next Avengers movie and possible X-Men. I actually don't think Thunderbolts matters that much either. I've heard it didn't do well at the movie theaters. And most of the cast are characters that no one really recognizes. So next is the new Fantastic Four movie. I think we'll get one member of the Fantastic Four in the roster. I think it's crazy to think that we'll get all four of them, because we have so limited spaces. If we have all the four Fantastic Four members in the roster, then we will actually have 5 Fantastic Four characters in the game, because Dr. Doom is also a Fantastic Four character. He's just a villain instead of a hero. So I think we'll get one. Which one, I don't really know yet. We will think about which one would fit the best after we looked at some of the other characters. But I think right away, Mr. Fantastic is probably not going to make it just because Ms. Marvel is in the game. And I also think Human Torch is maybe not going to make it because Ghost Rider is a fiery dude. Okay, next we have the game Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It has a pretty large variety of characters already announced. But I don't know how much this game will impact the character choices for Marvel Tokon, and there are still 6 more characters to be revealed. So I'm not going to take this game into consideration when selecting characters. And as for TV, I don't think the animated shows will matter at all, like your friend in Neighborhood Spider-Man. But I do think that Daredevil Born Again is a huge one, because the TV show is hugely successful, and we already have hints of Daredevil being in the stage. I think Daredevil is the first character that I'm for sure 100% is going to be in this game, because Marvel wants to push this character. So I'm going to add him right away to the roster. There. And I think equally as important is the Punisher character, because we will see a little bit further down, he's rumored to be in Spider-Man A Brand New Day. So I will also add him to the roster. I think he will fit a pretty nice anti-hero role. And the Punisher is also a very popular character. Both of these characters have not been in previous Marvel fighting games. I actually don't think any of these TV shows will matter at all, because I just don't think they have interesting or influential enough characters. So for 2026, we have the movie Spider-Man Brand New Day. We have a whole slew of characters rumored to be in this movie. Most of these are just street-level Spider-Man villains. And we don't know which of these are true. But I think out of all of these, I think Mr. Negative is a really interesting character choice. He has been a pretty huge character for the Insomniac Spider-Man games. And on top of that, Brand New Day is an adaptation of a Spider-Man arc that I think he was introduced in One More Day. That's the Spider-Man comic arc that they are adapting for the movie. I think Mr. Negative might have a chance to get into this game. I will put him on the roster for now. And other than that, I think Hulk will make it in. He's not a Spider-Man character, but he's one of those 2 important characters not to include. He sells a huge amount of toys for Marvel and Disney, so I think it's crazy to not have Hulk in the roster. And I'm going to address it now, because it will be a quite unpopular opinion, I think. But I actually don't think either Miles or Gwen will make it into this game. I know it's crazy, but hear me out. Miles have his own abilities that will actually fit perfectly in a fighting game, because Miles' powers are very distinct from Peter's powers. But visually, Miles' spider suit is just Peter's spider suit, but with different colors. And they're both named Spider-Man. Sure, they call themselves Miles and Peter when they're talking to each other, but as far as everyone else knows, they are both just called Spider-Man. And none of the unique names for Miles have stuck. I don't even think most people know what the other names for Miles are. So if they can't figure out the naming and the visual problem, I don't think they will have Miles in the game, even though I think he will fit perfectly for the game. I was actually quite disappointed that the Spider-Man we have here is the Peter Parker Spider-Man and not Miles. So, unfortunately, I don't think Miles is going to be in this game. I know the excuse is lame, but I think it's still valid. But yeah, if arcsys are good enough to give Miles a good Spider-Man name, sure, then I think he will be in the roster. And as for Gwen, she's visually different from Peter Parker, and she actually has a recognizable different spider name. But power-wise, I think Gwen has exactly the same power as Peter Parker. But gameplay-wise, I think it's hard to make the 2 distinct characters. It's the exact opposite problem of Miles. Because of that, unfortunately, I don't think he will be in this game either. And it's crazy hearing myself saying it out loud, but I really believe so. Now, there are other Spider people that I myself find very interesting. I really like Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. I think he has distinct enough powers from Peter Parker. I have a different suit that is cool, and he has a different name. I think he fits, but he's nowhere near as popular as the other Spider-Man people, so I don't think he will be in the roster because of the lack of popularity. Though I obviously can't know what characters the dev favorites. So any character have the possibility to be in this game just because the dev really want to have an obscure character. But I can't take that into account. Maybe the dev wants the Jackal in the game, right? And if you haven't read 80s or 90s Spider-Man comic, you would not know who the Jackal is. The next big movie is, of course, Avengers Doomsday. And we have all the other Avengers that we need to consider to the roster. One of the Avengers I think is too big to ignore is Black Panther. I think Black Panther is now popular enough that you simply can't ignore the character. But since T'Challa is not the Black Panther in the current MCU, I think there's a fairly large chance that we'll have the female version of Black Panther. I will put her into the roster right now. And I think another main Avengers that is going to be in the game is Thor, because he's one of the most popular characters and his statue is in the game. So Thor is a given, I think. I will put him in the roster. And I think another character that is too large to ignore right now is Loki. Even though I think his arc has largely ended with Loki, the TV show, season 2. I think his character arc in the MCU has come to an end, but his character is so famous and so liked that I think it's crazy to pass on. So put in Loki in the roster. I also know that Black Widow is one of the characters that people like a lot. And I think we will get her as the Elena version and not Natasha. That is again simply because she is dead in the MCU. And Elena has been Black Widow before in the comics. I think it's a pretty good fit. And you can call it a cheat since Black Widow have been in previous Marvel fighting games before. But this is the Elena version. I don't know if it's like a cheat or not. And in the comics, it also goes by the name White Widow. So maybe we will get that version. And she does wear white a lot in the MCU. I know Hawkeye and Doctor Strange are also very popular characters, but they actually have a counterpart that haven't been in the Marvel fighting game. And I'm thinking about Scarlet Witch for Doctor Strange. They kind of occupy the same space gameplay-wise, and Scarlet Witch is also a very popular character. I think she will be a very good fit. So I'm going to include her over Doctor Strange. And as for Hawkeye, I think you can cheat again by including Kate Bishop. I think she's the current Hawkeye in the comics, but she basically has the same function as Hawkeye in the game. It's just Kate Bishop is a character that haven't been in the Marvel fighting game before. I know the whole Fantastic Four team is in Avengers Doomsday. So looking back at those characters and looking at the characters we have in the roster right now, I think Mr. Fantastic is out because of Miss Marvel. I think the Thing is out because of Hulk. And I think Human Torch is out because of Ghost Rider. That leaves Invisible Woman. So I will add Invisible Woman to the roster. Initially, I wanted to include Sentry in the roster. He's like Superman type of character. We don't really have that gameplay-wise. But if you look ahead a little bit, there will be a Vision TV show with White Vision. I think Vision occupied the same space as Sentry in a gameplay perspective. And Vision is infinitely more popular than Sentry. I think Vision is a good candidate for the cast. He hasn't been in a fighting game before either. And now we get to the interesting parts because we have X-Men introduced to the MCU. We have Cyclops, Gambit, Beast, Nightcrawler, Professor X, Magneto, and Mystique confirmed for the cast of Avengers Doomsday. Out of these characters, more than anything, more than even Professor X, I think Cyclops is the face of X-Men. I think he's for sure in the roster for this game. And I think Magneto is the face of not just X-Men villains, but also the face of Marvel vs. Capcom. I think he's such an important character for Marvel vs. Capcom that you get huge points from the Marvel vs. Capcom community if you include Magneto. He's not a for sure character, but I think if you want to win the Marvel vs. Capcom crowd over, he's definitely the character to get. But I don't think these are the only two X-Men that will join the roster from the Doomsday cast. Out of these characters that are confirmed for Doomsday, I think Nightcrawler and Mystique will make for really cool fighting game characters, especially with arcsystemworks as the developer. I think these two are more wishful thinking, maybe, but I think they will make very, very cool fighting game characters. Of course, I will like a lot of different X-Men in this game over these two, but I don't think I will get the X-Men I want simply because they are not popular enough yet. The more casual crowd doesn't really know who they are. For example, they have hinted at Dazzler and Luna Snow in the stage, but both of them are very obscure characters. People only know Luna Snow because of Marvel Rivals. Before Rivals, she was kind of a nobody. And people might know Dazzler just because she's rumored all the time to be played by different celebrities like Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter. But those rumors are never true. So I don't think those two will make it into the game, but there are others like playing Jean Grey, not Phoenix. I would love to be in the game. Rogue, I would love to be in this game. Jubilee, I would love to be in this game. Mr. Sinister, I would love to be in this game. Colossus and Cable, I would love to be in this game. Apocalypse, I would love to be in this game. Gambit, Juggernaut, and Magic, I think it would be perfectly as a arcsystemworks fighting game character. But yeah, we can't have all the characters we want. But filled 24 slots already. It's crazy how fast the slots fill up. We only have 8 slots left. I don't know how much we'll take into account 2027 movies and games. We have no release date, even hinted at on the Insomniac Wolverine game. Spider-Man 3 hasn't been announced yet. We have nothing on the Blade game. And we don't know even if this is in production. These two are even more far out than 2027. Blade is in production hell. We'll get Black Panther 3 maybe, we don't know anything about it. And Armor Wars, we might get the War Machine DLC from that. But all of those are too uncertain. The only one I'm thinking about is Blade, because he's a very popular character among Marvel fans. But both his movie and game are so far out, I don't know if he will make it. He will be a very, very cool fighting game character, so devs might want to include him as a request from the devs. Yeah, I can see that happening. We might get Blade because he just fits very well in the fighting game. Yeah, let's add Blade. Who else are we missing? I know Captain Marvel is a popular character, but I also don't think she will make it into the game because we need more characters that have not been in a fighting game before. There are two very obvious Spider-Man characters that we haven't added yet. And one of those too large to ignore characters is Venom. I think it's crazy to not include Venom in a Marvel fighting game. He has become large enough to be his own franchise, to hold his own space in Marvel. But for the longest of time, he was one of the main faces for Spider-Man villain. So I think he will definitely be in this game. And of course I want other symbiotes over Venom, but the popularity of Venom beats all the other symbiotes combined. I think the nearest popular symbiote after Venom is Carnage and Anti-Venom or Agent Venom. The popularity of those two characters combined can't touch the original Venom. That's why we're adding Venom and not one of those two. And the other character is Green Goblin. I know Dr. Octopus is also a very iconic Spider-Man villain, and he might be at the same popularity level as Green Goblin. But we have the Norman Osborn Easter egg in the stage. I think there are a larger chance of Green Goblin being added to the roster over Dr. Octopus. And seeing this list now, we have 3 Spider-Man villains. Maybe that's too much. You know what? We're going to make our first change. We are going to replace Mr. Negative with Green Goblin. I think that Mr. Negative will have been a very interesting character to add for this game, but Green Goblin's popularity is so much higher than Mr. Negative's. And I really can't see them having 3 Spider-Man villains. So we will just overwrite Mr. Negative. I'm sorry, dude. It would have been cool to have Mr. Negative. We are done looking at the releases of the movies and TV shows for the upcoming year. Who else can we add? Oh yeah, I think we need to add another Guardian of the Galaxy character. I think it's very awkward to have only Star-Lord be a Guardians representative. And for this choice, I'm actually going to combine 2 characters into one. I'm talking about Rocket and Groot being one character. I'm thinking Chang and Choi in CVS2. They had a really interesting playstyle that you mostly controlled Chang and you'd send Choi out for various special attacks. Or maybe Tom and Jerry from Multiverses. They are detached from each other and they can attack you from different angles. That would be cool. I think even though Infinity Saga have been over for a very long time now, but Thanos is just currently the most popular Marvel villain overall, so I think it's crazy not to include him. Which other characters are faces of Marvel? There are 2 very huge characters, Deadpool and Wolverine. Both are definitely too large to ignore. And both of them have been in previous Marvel fighting games. Yeah, I think it's pretty stupid not to include either one of them. I just think Deadpool is overrated and I'd much rather have someone else there than Deadpool. It's so hard making choices. I also think that we really need a Japanese character in this game. Maybe some will think that it's shallow reasoning, but they are a Japanese developer and they said that they want to bring the Japanese style to this game. So far, I only know 3 Japanese characters. It's Psylocke, Silver Samurai, and Firestorm. I think Silver Samurai and Firestorm are just very obscure characters. Psylocke is really the most popular Japanese character. I think adding her is a safe bet. Man, it's hard. Out of all the X-Men I want to add, I think Magic is a very good choice, mostly because I think she fits both as a fighting game character and the arcsystemworks style of fighting game character. If they wanted, they could make her just so bad girl. So I'm going to put Magic here, more of a personal choice. Got 2 choices left. Okay, let's do a count and see if we at least hit 10 villains and 10 females. So let's count the females first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have 10 females. That's pretty good. Let's see, villain / anti-hero. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and 9 if you count Scarlet Witch, which she has been more of a villain in comics. But maybe we need more villains. And then we can't add both Wolverine and Deadpool. Let's also count how many characters have been in the Marvel fighting game before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 characters out of 32, that's half of the cast that have been in previous Marvel fighting game. If you count the cheating characters, if you don't count them, it's 13. Between Wolverine and Deadpool, I'm clearly choosing Wolverine because that's my bias. Even though I know that today Deadpool is more popular than Wolverine, but that's just my bias. 9 villains. Okay, we need at least one more villain, preferably one that hasn't been in a fighting game before. I don't want to just add back Mr. Negative, because then we have 3 Spider-Man villains again. I know my personal choice, but I don't think he would make it into the game. Oh well, maybe. My obvious choice for a villain that hasn't been in a Marvel fighting game before is Mr. Sinister. I think he's super cool. Okay, I have a hard time choosing another villain, so I'm just going to include Mr. Sinister. Okay, let's look through this one more time and see if we want to change anything.
A few minutes later.
No, I think it's hard to change any of the characters. And obviously, Deadpool will take priority to some of the more obscure characters I've chosen if it were a popularity contest, but not every popular character can make it in either. So... And there we have it. This is the list of characters that I predict will be in Marvel Tokon based on the criteria that we have set for ourselves. I think it's a decent list. It definitely are missing some of the characters I love, but they're all less popular than the popular MCU characters. Let's just read all the character names out loud so you know which one I've chosen. From left to right. Psylocke, Blade, Cyclops, Scarlet Witch, Black Panther but Shuri, not T'Challa, Daredevil, Miss Marvel, Captain America, Iron Man, Ghost Rider, Punisher, Thor, Kate Bishop, Magneto, Venom, Magic, Wolverine, Groot and Rocket as one character, Nightcrawler, Invisible Woman, Loki, Green Goblin, Doctor Doom, Star-Lord, Peter Parker Spider-Man, Storm, Hulk, Yelena Belova as either Black Widow or White Widow, not Natasha, White Vision, Mystique, Thanos, and Mr. Sinister. Yeah, love it or hate it. Comment below if you think that my choices are crazy, what characters you want in, or if you think that I made a decent job. Yeah, like and comment for engagement, subscribe if you liked the video. Maybe I will make an updated list in the future when we get more information. I'm not sure yet, we'll see. But yeah, until next time, bye!
Don't forget to like, comment, favorite.